making it sort of a more meta policy thing around how do you get into teacher education programs, into teachers, the whole notion of thinking about the negative impact of stereotypes and how much if you believe a child doesn't have potential, guess what? They're not going to make it. And if you actually show them that they do have potential, which all 3 of your schools are doing, then they do. And it's just as simple as that. So how do we make that into something more meaningful and real, since we know that already?
It should be impossible to graduate from NYU or any other school of education without coursework, required coursework that addresses issues of bias in the classroom and how it might influence your teaching. Should be a graduation requirement. And I don't believe it's a graduation requirement here or pretty much anywhere else in the world. Because you cannot be an effective teacher if you aren't aware of how biases can influence how you interact with your students. Pure and simple. Everyone has biases. I mean, how many of you ever taught kids? Raise your hand. You know, thank you. Now tell the truth. How many of you liked every kid you taught? You know, we all have biases, but the key thing there is to be made aware of them and to be made aware of how they might influence your pedagogy and how that might impact students and strategies to mitigate them. There's some really nice, largely guilty, white, liberal, straight people who tend to take the one elective on bias in schools that we offer, but it should be a required course that every single student has to take before they're allowed to be in a classroom as a teacher near children. Because if they aren't aware of their biases and how it influences how they're going to interact with kids, they are a threat to children.